Hey everyone. Please support what I do to help keep Greyhawk alive by subscribing to the channel. Also, please consider becoming a channel member to get early access to videos, exclusive live chats, quarterly adventure modules, and more. Thanks, and enjoy the show. There's a new book out about Blackmoor, the Blackmoor campaign by Dave Arneson, and I want to talk about it and why it's relevant to Greyhawk today on Greyhawk Grognard. First of all, I'd like to thank the Hordes of the Things for sending me a copy of their new book, Blackmoor Foundations. This is a book that was conceived as a way to kind of showcase a lot of the early ephemera around the Blackmoor campaign. Most people are going to be aware that Blackmoor was Dave Arneson's home campaign, started, I believe, as early as 71. Predated Greyhawk by several years. The Blackmoor game was, in fact, Gary Gygax's inspiration for his own Greyhawk campaign, and he took Dave Arneson's rules and really beefed them up. And eventually, they went back and forth, and that was the genesis of the original Dungeons and Dragons rules. Very, very briefly. I'm sure there's a lot of Dave Arneson fans that are going to be steam's going to be coming out of their ears at the brevity with which I covered that, but that's all you're getting. The book is really amazing. It's got reproductions of letters and maps. A lot of the maps are in or in color, and with explanatory text next to them to give an indication of where they go. Give them context and why is this important? How does this plug into the rest of the stuff? How does this show the evolution of the early Blackmoor campaign? It's really an amazing piece of work. There's obviously a lot of people who are very dedicated and great fans of Arneson and the Blackmoor itself, it gives lots of handwritten notes by Dave Arneson describing what's going on. A lot of typewritten stuff. They had newsletters and stuff like that. So it's just a fantastic. If you're at all interested in the earliest evolution of what we now call fantasy role playing games, then this is absolutely a terrific resource and something you want to get. Even if even I'm not a huge Blackmoor fan per se, I'm obviously much more of a Greyhawk fan. But even so, I really enjoy seeing the evolution of things. Here's a little bit of something that might be of interest. This is one of Dave Arneson's handwritten notes. He's talking about the City of the Gods, which was a kind of crossover sci-fi fantasy scenario that he ran for Rob Kuntz and Gary Gygax down in Lake Geneva. And he says, we had a good time, but I found it to be less successful than I had hoped. And then he goes on about how to expand and change on it. And he says, a high-tech intergalactic traveling zoo lost power and crashed into the desert south of Blackmoor. That sounds a lot like Expedition to the Barrier Peaks to me. I wonder if where this came in, relative to the Gygax writing that module. I haven't worked out the timeline yet, but it'd be interesting to see which came first, this note and whether or not Arneson mentioned it to Gygax. But just in general, this is a fantastic resource. I heartily recommend it if you're at all interested in the earliest days of the hobby or in Blackmoor for obvious reasons. Now, why Blackmoor is important to Greyhawk? Obviously it is in some way a part of Greyhawk. We just talked about how Gary Gygax's and Rob Kuntz's characters adventured there, and that wasn't at all unusual back in the day. Your characters would go from one world to another depending on who was DMing that day. But you'd keep the same characters. But then once they were canonized into the Greyhawk campaign, they kind of pulled that history with them. And in fact, you see up here in the map, there's Blackmoor is there. It's in the world of Greyhawk. It's part of the Flyness. Although later on, obviously, Gygax tried to distance himself and the Blackmoor and Duchy of Ten and other things that made it into Greyhawk. He kind of tried to distance them from the Arnesonian ones because there was this huge lawsuit going on, several huge lawsuits. and Gygax was, very much trying to put some space between what he had in his thing and what Arneson had developed in for his. Um, but we also see fan attempts to kind of reconcile the Arneson Blackmoor with the Gygaxian Greyhawk. And one of the most well done versions of this is something called The Weird Enclave of Blackmoor by D.H. Boggs. And I'll put links to this down in I'll pin a comment at the bottom. Um, but what the beautiful thing about this is it takes a lot of the Arnesonian weird, like really weird off the wall stuff, and retains it in a way that you kind of you don't see in a lot of the Gygaxian stuff. Which is not to say that the Gygaxian stuff can't get weird. I mean, obviously we have Lost Temple of Tharizdun and the Temple of Elemental Evil and so forth. So it's not that, but it does have a very different flavor than the Gygaxian stuff, which makes for a great inclusion in Greyhawk because it takes things in a whole different realm in terms of feel. And so this other thing, this weird enclave of Blackmoor, it takes a lot of the Arnesonian stuff and reconciles it and integrates it into this Blackmoor here, so that what you end up with is a very well developed, very very different feeling area of Greyhawk, which is exactly the kind of thing that I think it needs at times, just to break things up and make things more exciting. So I would recommend that as well. And in fact, you could also use the Blackmoor Foundations, and there's a ton of other Blackmoor stuff out there. There's the Temple of the Frog, there's the City of the Gods, there's all kinds of modules that have been published over the years. Some of them, I believe, are still in print on DM's Guild as print on demand or PDF. Some of them I'm sure you could get in the aftermarket. New stuff's being published here, every once in a while too, like this. So there's definitely stuff out there if you wanted to focus on that. And it's just a great addition. It adds another layer to the Greyhawk tapestry, which I really love. So I would definitely consider exploring that if that interests you. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know what you think in the comments. I will leave links to those things below, and hope you're having a wonderful day. And I will talk to you all later. Thanks for watching today's video. Please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Below you'll find links to my Patreon, which helps make these videos possible. You'll also find the web store where you can buy my books, and my blog where you'll find all sorts of free downloads and other articles. Thanks, and have a great day.